Greetings and namaskar, everybody. This is Roger in Kansas City. 6 months ago, I made a video about Mount Kailash, and it turned out to be my most successful video ever. And while I'm thinking about it, I want to extend a very special and heartfelt welcome to the over 3,000 new subscribers from the nation of India who actually subscribed while watching the first video I made about Mount Kailash. I'd never heard of Mount Kailash until about 6 months ago. And in that time, I have learned much about the area and honestly much about myself. And I can easily understand why so many billions of people consider this to be a sacred area, me included. There's a link to the first video in the description box of this video. So let's not dilly-dally and take a look at what we're going to discuss today. This is an awesome view of the west side of Mount Kailash. Here's Mount Kailash, this big, long, rectangular, geometrically shaped building, mountain, is Mount Nandi, and it's directly south of Mount Kailash, part of what I would call the Mount Kailash complex. We're going to discuss the west side you're looking at right now and the east side. The south end is where the first video, the megalithic gods, those carvings, are located. And we're going to discuss that in a little more detail as well. And I'd like to start there, so let's go straight ahead and look at those megalithic carvings one more time. Here's the picture we opened the video with, and it's a picture from the first video. In that first video, I pointed out these characters, and they're on the south end of Mount Nandi. I didn't even know the name of Mount Nandi when I made the video. So we're going to look at this a little more closely, especially on this left side. We did not cover that in the first video, but we're going to look at 3 other pictures of this same area taken from different angles and at different times. This next picture looks considerably different than the one you're looking at, so I just want to prepare you. Here we go. Wow, here it is. I was very fortunate to come across this picture. I believe it's a very accurate representation of what's really there. If you're like me, you're thinking to yourself or saying out loud, "Hey Roger, that doesn't look much like the figures in the first video," and I totally agree. Then you start looking at it, and then you start seeing the similarities. And granted, their angle, lighting, and distance will make a difference in what we're seeing, but you can still see there are carvings here all along the south end. You will also see, as we progress, there are carvings all along the east side. I want to show you a fourplex of pictures. The one we're looking at now, the one from my first video, and 2 others. Let's take a look at those. Here are 4 different pictures of the southern end of Mount Nandi. They were obviously taken at different times, different distances, and different angles. Let me point out the one consistent factor in all 4 of these. There's something there. Now, I showed one picture in the last video, and I agree that it could be reasonably contested or argued that this is just imagination, it's an erosion, it's a lighting situation. Well, okay, but it's not going to be that each and every time in 4 different pictures. That being said, they are different as well. This one, to the top right, it takes the cake. It looks like a Broadway musical going on. You have these 3-dimensional characters. Are they alive? Are they carvings? Are they... I don't know. Now, I believe these look less like 3-dimensional characters. They look more like 2-dimensional relief carvings built in or carved into a wall. This one down here, bottom right, it's basically a solid-looking wall compared to this one to the left, where there are voids. Same as up here. This one, again, is completely different. Why are they completely different? I don't know. Do they change these things? Well, obviously they do. It could be from different time periods. And it could be that this is just something that occurs every now and then. I'm just speculating, and your speculation is as good as mine. So that, I'm just going to leave that as it is. You see it. I look forward to your comments on this portion of the video. This is kind of a mystery. I have some ideas, but we'll save that for another video. Let's go ahead and take a closer look at this left area where this round, kind of curved, giant megalithic stone is. Let's go to it next. Here's the southwest corner of Mount Nandi, and I believe it's reasonable to conclude that this is not a natural formation or erosion. You see this face here, have this face down here, carving up here. Always have these long-necked guys. There's one here, and there's one next to him. Also, that's his friend. Kind of, there's some eyes and a head back here. Kind of a large figure back here. And I don't point out everything. Lots of people say, "Oh, you missed this or that." Well, no, I'm just pointing out some key things. And right down here, I admit this is kind of small and it's a little nondescript, but I will show you some other places that in this video that I believe there are vehicles, flying vehicles, that humans get in and operate and go places. And this is one of them right here. It's just about the size. I would say that's probably a little bigger than a sport utility vehicle. And this looks like a door here, or an entry. And this is probably an entry down here. This is parking all down here. And you can see there's just carving all throughout. So I just wanted to cover this one spot that we didn't cover in the first video. Let's go ahead and take a look at the east side. So now we are headed to the east side. I will show individual sections, and I'm going to work my way down this direction. I'm going from south to north. Here we go. This is the southernmost end of the east side of Mount Nandi. And I'm sure you can already see a number of figures without me pointing at anything. But let me start pointing. We have a lot of humanoid looking figures as well as non-human looking figures all throughout. And I'm not going to go to a lot of trouble trying to define what I'm seeing. I'm sure you can do that for yourself. Let me go to an enhanced version of this. It brings out a little more detail, and you can also see that this is just not all relief work. It looks like it's away from the wall. It looks like it's three-dimensional, especially over in here and maybe down in here. Look at that guy there. I just saw that guy. Oh my gosh. All right. So the next pictures as we proceed north along the wall are going to be a little grainier, and I colorized some of them to bring out some detail, but I'm sure you're going to see what I'm talking about. Here we go. Like I said, it's a little grainy, but there was a time when I couldn't even bring pictures like this out, so I think it's pretty good. You can see a number of figures. We see this guy right here, and I would like to point out his blue skin tone. Now, I'm not saying that's anybody in particular, but he's kind of blue. We have a head here, and it appears that that's a crown. And then we have these figures all throughout. Next, there's that head with the crown. Then we have all these figures as well. Here, here, very large, probably in the 70-foot range. That's a good estimate. A little more close up. And one more. This is the end, the north end of the east wall. I would like to have better pictures of this east wall, and I will eventually get it. Let's go ahead and look at the west side. I think I saved the best for last. We saw this picture a little earlier. It's a western view of Mount Nandi and Mount Kailash. We're going to take a closer look at this area, this ridge along Mount Nandi. It's shady now, but I have lightened it up. We're going to start on the south and work our way north in segments. Be warned, some people may find this a little disturbing. I initially did, but I got used to it. Here we are on the south end of the west side of Mount Nandi. Now, I just want to show you this first picture. It's probably, you're probably thinking, what are you showing me here? I just want to show you that when I just took out the shade, there was obviously something going on. So we can see a number of characters all throughout. Let's zoom in just a little bit. So let me tell you, this is not the kind of picture you want to find right before you go to bed. So we have these entities standing back here, and I think they're very alive. These don't look like carvings, they don't look like statues. This is a very animated looking scene happening. And you, along with me, us, we are the first people in the world, I think, to see this. Maybe the guy taking the picture could see it. I don't think he could. Now, I believe there are humans out there that know these people exist, and I'm sure they're very nice because they're smiling. I don't know what's happening here. This will take further analysis. Let's go in a little closer. Here we have a number of entities. Here, 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 here. Here, that person there. Huh. Well, okay. So let's continue heading north down the west side of Mount Nandi. Next, we have this. Now, that can just be a mound of dirt, just part of the hill. And the only reason I'm pointing out this possible creature is because it appears to have a face right here. Now, I will be the first to admit that might be a stretch, but there's nothing else like it on the entire hillside in that entire length. Moving on. In this next picture, we can see there's quite a bit of artistic rendering going on up here. I believe these are vessels like the ones we saw earlier, and I don't think this is a real being like the ones a few pictures back, but there's a great big Martian or somebody that looks like an alien. That's just my humble opinion. It's an incredible picture. Let's look at a close-up of it. It's a little bit brighter, but you can see our Martian guy. And again, I think a lot of this is artistic work. I know it's very close up, and I know it's blurry, but those aren't rocks. There's something on Mount Nandi. Let's look at a few more pictures. I believe it's safe to say that this is a carving, and it's beneath the area we were just looking at on the west side. You can see a number of carvings in this area. I almost said throughout. And it's kind of interesting because I'm starting to notice, not just here, but in other places around the world, a very similar pattern. You see this kind of parallel linear striping that's horizontal going across. It's almost like a machine makes this. Maybe it does. Maybe they're just good carvers. And let's look at one more picture. This is also a carving on the north side of Mount Nandi. And to me, it appears to look far more ancient than some of the other carvings we have looked at. We have this guy here, individual here, relief work here. Okay, so there you have it. There's no way I could possibly show you everything around Mount Nandi in 20 minutes, let alone the entire Mount Kailash complex. This place just absolutely fascinates me. I never knew anything like this existed on Earth. It's almost like it's out of a science fiction movie. The more I look at it, the more I can plainly see many constructed elements. And in our next video, I will address my idea, my hypothesis, on just how they hide so much of this from people who are actually on site. And it's just not here, it's around the world that they have a process that I'm pretty sure that they're using. Anyway, thank you for watching. I really appreciate all of you, and I look forward to your comments. This is Roger in Kansas City, and I'll be talking to you soon. Bye-bye, and Fear Malinge.